Still has the battle cruisers to worry about on the bottom left-hand side, and now they're going to be teleporting in. It looks like all hands on deck for Gumiho, who's making his move. Nice fungal growth there, but the Neurals are also going down for Reynor as well. Battle cruiser against battle cruiser. Does Reynor have the muscle to defeat the rest of this mech force? The Neurals are going down, and all of Gumiho's battle cruisers and Thors are back online. The Hellbats are making their presence known on the creep of Reynor, morphing in. Reynor has to know at this point that something is heading his way, and that something is indeed Thors. They are here being elevated into the fight. Reynor trying to make do what he can with the Banelings and trying to go for some good connections here. Some of the Hellbats are falling in the front, Queen's in the back, trying to take the shots as well. But now with all the Banelings gone, there is not much left for these Queens to protect them, and they are forced to fall back to Reynor's third base here. And now it is really dicey for Reynor as Gumiho is looking to press on forward and at least get rid of this base for Reynor. Reynor stubbornly, though, holding on until the drones are going to be in danger there of the Hellbat cones. You don't want that. More Zerglings trying to stream in slowly but surely, but the Thors are still staying and doing a world of hurt there on those Zerg units. More Queens are falling as well. Reynor just doesn't seem to have the units. They're streaming in piecemeal here and getting obliterated as a result. More Hellbats have fallen though, and those are really what are keeping Reynor's forces from the Thors here. And now really this base is up for grabs here for Gumiho. Looking like he wants to keep pressing forward, though, as Reynor's just trying to scrounge together what forces he can use. He's losing a lot of Queens in the process, but it does look like he's managing to stabilize slowly but surely as the drones now are finally being pulled back in, and he clears up the last of the Thors there by the skin of his teeth. Reynor manages to hold on. Certainly losing a lot, though, and certainly not out of the woods yet, as it looks like Gumiho is gearing up for yet another push on the same base, which is already damaged. If Gumiho can just right-click it, that base might be bye-bye here. But it looks like instead he's going to shift towards the outermost base here, the fourth base for Reynor. Again, Hellbats in the front, just chunking through those Zerglings, and now with Siege Tank support as well, it's going to be a lot more difficult to unseat Gumiho's position. One Siege Tank is taken out, though. Going to be super helpful here for Reynor, who's actually doing a good job cleaning up just with the Ravagers. As a single Siege Tank and two Thors. Not seemingly enough. Tank will go down, and now Gumiho is hightailing it out of there. But surely after doing a lot of damage, Reynor has somehow managed to pull off an incredible defense there, but at great cost. As Gumiho is stubbornly staking his claim here in the middle of the map. Both of these players, impressively large army supplies, and now the next Big Bang might just do it for either one, as it looks like Reynor wants to pull the trigger here, yoinking one of the tanks there, and now the Hellbats in the front as well, trying to protect the tanks and the Thors in the back. Reynor desperately wants that high ground position, but Gumiho so far has been stubborn in his resolve. This is a really tough spot to break unless you have Vipers in support, as another one is grabbed there. And the Thor count is slowly but surely being worked on here. And now the battle cruisers streaking across the bottom of the map here. Reynor does know that they're out and has some Corruptors in play. Luckily, not many drones were at that base here. Now, Reynor has to be a little cautious when moving out. He knows he's got a battle cruiser threat. And really, Gumiho is sort of all over the map, just trying to tax Reynor as much as possible. Another big fight in the center here. Ultralisk, the unit of choice to try to chunk through these units here as they are glitching out, but still doing a tremendous amount of damage there against those Thors, taking up all of those shots. But Gumiho at the same time on the corners, getting the damage done. Corruptors will clear those battle cruisers there on the bottom side, and Reynor is forced to back off there in the center, defend against those Broodlords. Splitting off the battle cruisers away from the main mech force here is Gumiho, so Reynor going to be forced to split up his forces. Let's see if he has the Corruptors to defend against this. Reynor is still out of position. The Corruptors should be on the bottom left-hand side here, but instead Reynor is pressing forward on this planetary fortress as a crucial mining base here for Gumiho. And now immediately right away, Reynor is diving back across the map. Doesn't want to lose any more bases to these battle cruisers. The rest of Gumiho's army slowly making its way up through the center. And Gumiho can sense that trouble was lurking there for those battle cruisers, immediately shifting to the other side of the map. Nice little play there. That is the great thing about teleport and what it affords these battle cruisers. But the Spore is enough to ward them off. Meanwhile, this ground mech force is striking out here for Reynor's right-hand side base. Just a handful of Broodlords to try to defend, and they're getting chunked through by those Thors. Really don't want to be hanging out around there. Finally, the rest of the force comes in for Reynor. Still has the battle cruisers to worry about on the bottom left-hand side, and now they're going to be teleporting in. It looks like all hands on deck for Gumiho, who's making his move. Nice fungal growth there. But the Neurals are also going down for Reynor as well. Battle cruiser against battle cruiser. Does Reynor have the muscle to defeat the rest of this mech force? The Neurals are going down, and all of Gumiho's battle cruisers and Thors are back online, and has shoved off a lot of Reynor's army here. He's down to just trying to remax on Ultralisks, on Zerglings. Reynor, he's hoping that maybe they can turn the tide of this game here, as he's desperately getting a counterattack going with these Corruptors now, trying to shave off the battle cruiser count there for Gumiho, but the Thors underneath just chunking through those Corruptors. But here comes the rest of the Ultralisk Armada now, and these Thors are actually caught out a little bit out of position. Siege tanks are sieging up, but the Thors right on top of them, getting the surround there on the Thors. Ultralisk now barreling through. Gumiho has taken the time to remax there on Cyclones, and the sheer firepower is trying to do what it can against the armor here of the Ultralisks. This could be Reynor's last chance to change the tide of this battle. His army supply is dwindling a tremendous amount, just left really to the Corruptors now. Do have some Infestors in the pipeline as well. Maybe going to go for another neural play here, but Gumiho has been able to hold off this assault from Reynor, and that's going to be it from Reynor, as Gumiho will take game number 1. The real issue is going to be these Hellions, actually. They're just going to stride right on through, take on these two Queens, and the Zerglings immediately coming in from the natural base. They are morphing in now. Going to be a little bit tougher to hold against, as now that Banshee is cloaking up and adding so much DPS to the army thereof. Gumiho is roasting alive the Zerglings and now barreling his way forward into the natural base. Banshee hanging around, maybe going to go for the third base. Reynor already having to evacuate his natural mineral line. Spore Crawler is in the works there, but these Queens cannot catch a break from the Hellbats. They are tenaciously powering through and getting so much value here for Gumiho. It does look like they're going to be cleaned up finally, but stubbornly actually still hanging around the corners of Reynor's main base. Does have a Spore Crawler on the third base. These two Overlords are making their way right to the third base here of Gumiho. Might not expect this. Queen dropping in now, also dropping the poop. And Gumiho is out on the map. These Queens actually able to take on this force just by themselves, as the army in the center from Gumiho is also taken out, and now the SCVs are starting to fall on this base as well. Gumiho is forced to retreat now from his third base, and a brilliant counterattack there from Reynor as he's continuing to press forward with the Zerglings. Not what the Cyclones want to fight against, but if they're tucked away in that choke point, I think Gumiho does like that fight. He's trying to kite back and forth. We do have detection here against these two Banshees. They just dish out a ton of damage, and Reynor has been able to equalize the damage done to him, it looks like, as he's taking out a huge chunk of workers and evened up the losses. But now here comes the Cyclone Armada that Gumiho was working on behind the scenes. Reynor is saying, no, you're gonna have to kick me off of this side. I do not want to see you mining here, even though it looks like the Queens gonna be making their way slowly back to the third base, and that's because these Banshees are trying to get some counter damage done. 3 Banshees against 2 Queens, low health Queens at that, is not a great fight for Reynor. That one Queen goes down. We do still have the Spore Crawler, but they hang out on the peripheries. They're gonna be able to start taking out some drones here, and another drop, just a little Zergling drop here in the main base. I'm loving the creative plays here from Reynor, who's still having to deal with the Banshees back at home. Almost like little Protoss Dark Templar, as he keeps them spread across the map. And now these Cyclones gonna take the heads-up fight against this force here of Reynor. And I do like the army so far more from Reynor, as the Hellbats in the front gonna be great at tanking. The Queen's just not having the DPS really to get a lot done. Getting tripped up a little bit there on his ramp is Reynor. He's just trying to do what he can to hold on to this base. We do have some Mutalisks, it looks like, going for a counterattack. I'm not sure if Gumiho has the defenses in his main base, but he's really focusing on this assault here, although the Ravagers in the back getting some decent trades. And now here come the Mutalisks in the main base, and Gumiho is the only one really right now who's losing workers. Reynor is brilliantly defending and counterattacking at the same time. Worker count is dropping for Gumiho. He's got to make something happen here, or just go back home and try to defend. But he continues to want to trade out against these Roaches, against these Ravagers with these Cyclones. The kiting is there for Gumiho, one of the best players there is when it comes to controlling mech units. Now loading up for another assault there. This Banshee from Gumiho effectively able to shut down mining at that base because there's no detection at the same time. Reynor is now moving forward on this third base of Gumiho, not wanting to get any more mining done, trying to keep him as much as possible to a 2-base economy here. Banshee is cloaked up. No detection is going to help a lot with the DPS there, but the Cyclones, especially the ones in the front, are taking lots and lots of damage. We need more SCVs to help repair, and we need more units to try to stem the losses here as more Zerglings and Ravagers are stepping forward, grabbing the Banshee. There is Reynor. Brilliant shot there, and now it is just Ravagers heads up against the Cyclones. They're going to lose that fight, but getting a tremendous amount of damage done. Lots of good trades there for Reynor. Double Banshee harassment on that left-hand side base there for Gumiho. And a great catch there from Reynor as the Zerglings latching on to the Cyclones, whittling down their numbers severely there. The Ravagers also dishing out their damage. Little Roach run by there now in the natural base as well. They are going to get cleaned up, but all of this is just to strengthen Reynor's position as he's gearing up, it looks like, again for that third base. Gumiho is sensing this. Zergling is going to stream through right into the mineral line. And the Ravagers are going to drop some bios there on those precious tanks. Reynor looking like he wanted to get a surround there, but has taken out 15 workers. Is Reynor, those Ravagers have really laid on the hurt on the economy of Gumiho. The Cyclones moving up on the left-hand side. Gumiho taking advantage of Reynor's aggressiveness, it looks like. So both of these players going to be trading out a base for a base, it looks like. But Gumiho on both sides of the aisle here. Hellbat Cyclones on the right, Cyclones on the left. Reynor forced to come back home with the Broodlords. Losing one base is Reynor. Now going to lose another, it looks like. And Reynor has lost a good chunk of workers as well. He's the one scrambling here as Gumiho was just able to get the drop on him with the multi-prong assault. Broodlords are devastating in a heads-up fight, but so slow moving. And in this scenario that Gumiho has set up, it does seem to be hurting Reynor just that much more. As Reynor right away back on the offense, wanting to catch these Cyclones, and a great catch at that. Getting the revenge there for the bases they've taken out, and Reynor has retaken at least one of those bases. He cannot afford to be locked out of his economy here, especially not at this stage of the game, as Gumiho sees another opportunity to start diving in here. These Cyclones are going to be trapped, but they do land a devastating anti-armor missile there on the Corruptors there for Reynor. The Broodlords, though, answering the call to try to defend and try to clear this up, but it's going to be a little while before they can. Meanwhile, right-hand side, Thor's entering the battlefield. Ravager is going to be able to take care of that, but Reynor is supply blocked now, and his supply is plummeting faster than Gumiho's. Gumiho is still wreaking havoc in the main base. Broodlords just a little slow in cleaning them up. Gumiho not going to be able to save these Cyclones. Just trying to get as much damage as he can, trying to get rid of the Corruptor count so that they can't come back later to haunt this mech army. As Gumiho is sensing some weakness here in this right-hand side. Hellbats clearing out that mineral line, and now Reynor has just been effectively shut out of this fourth base. Things are starting to get dicey for him here. His economy is starting to drop. We can see he's still supply blocked. The supply count 124 to 160 of Gumiho. Finally, the last of those Cyclones are cleared up, and now he's circling like a shark. Reynor really does not want his GSL season to end this way. So he's just doubling down on getting that big army supply, and Gumiho is slowly but surely tightening the noose here. You can see he's angling both of his armies to come in on both sides, classic pincer move here, and Reynor is just huddling, trying to defend the last of his mining bases. He knows that this next fight is going to be do or die. Nice fungal growth there on the Cyclones. They are so slow now, and the Broodlords can start doing their work. At the same time, another group of Cyclones giving Reynor some pause, making him sweat there as he's taking damage from both angles as Reynor. Now the siege tanks are sieged up, and they're going to start working on that base. Reynor desperately trying to hold on to his place in this GSL match, as he does lose that base, and the Broodlords are just trying to get the damage that they can done, but the economic outlook here from Reynor is not that good. Gumiho has expanded to the rest of the map, as Gumiho is letting off the brakes here, maybe trying to lure Reynor into one final decisive fight. You can see the forces all across the map angling to try to get us around, and that looks like that's exactly what Gumiho wants to do. He knows Reynor is desperate enough to go for one final decisive battle here. 4 Cyclones on the top, and Cyclones on the left-hand side just going to dive immediately for Reynor's bases. Reynor cannot afford to get into a base race here. He doesn't have the base count. He knows he has to hurry back home to defend his Gumiho is wreaking havoc on the natural bases there. This could be for Gumiho's series, for Reynor's GSL run here, as these mech armadas are just clearing up the last of Reynor's bases. He's literally down to just 1 hatchery, looks like 2 hatcheries, but that one is about to get taken out. Reynor, in the meantime, desperately trying to get work done with those Broodlords on the other side. They are just not as fast as Terran units, though. And now with the last of these hatcheries going down, it really just does seem impossible for Reynor to come back. He gave it his all, using the neurals here to get rid of those last 4s. But with no bases here, no mining whatsoever, Reynor just has a tall order to clear up all of Gumiho's army. He is being revealed there, and he is wreaking havoc on Gumiho's main base, but a nice anti-armor missile there for Gumiho. I think he wants to take this fight and end it for good here and now. Huge bios do come down, but Reynor knows it's not enough, and Gumiho will advance forward. Reynor forced to go back home.